Look, I'm gonna be real. I have not watched any of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, and I definitely didn't even watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes yet. But based off of what I see on these reviews, because we will be reading the worst reviews of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I'm probably finally going to go see one. Now, I watched the old ones that were out in the freaking 60s, with my dad because he likes all that old school shit. Now I'm not too fond of it, but I was like, you know what? Let's just watch it because I'm just a kid and I don't really have say so over my parents during that time period, and I didn't like it, so I never kind of wanted to jump back into it when all these new ones came out. But today we will be reading the worst review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Let's get straight into it. Let's look at some numbers real quick from the previous films. So we got Rise of the Planet of the Apes. 82% of the critics recommend that you go watch this film, and 77% of the audience recommend that you go watch this film. I do remember this one. This is the one with James Franco in it, and I'd remember watching bits and pieces of this, and then when the next one came out, I was like, well, where the fuck did James Franco go? But hey, like I said, I haven't watched this, but it looks like audience and critics, majority of them really did like the film. Let's move on into Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. 91% of the critics recommend that you go watch this film, and 88% of the audience recommend that you go watch this film. So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, a lot more critics compared to Rise of the Planet of the Apes recommend that you go watch this film, and a big jump in the percentage for audiences. Almost 90% of them recommend that you go watch this film. Now let's move on into the final installment before Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes jumps up again from its previous one on the critic score with a 94%. That's crazy. So as the films go on, more of the critics are recommending that you go watch this film. And for the audience, just a 4% drop. Not that big of a difference. That's still pretty great that 84% of the audience recommends that you go watch this film. Now, let's move on into the recent installment, which is Kingdom. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So, a pretty big drop compared to what we saw before, which was 94% of the critics recommending you go watch it. Now we're at 80%. All right, we're smack dab right on 80. It's almost kind of teetering back and forth from being in the 70s and barely staying in the 80s. And now we have the audience, which is at 79, literally 1% behind. So it's kind of even on critics recommending you go watch it and audiences recommending that you go watch it. Overall, we can kind of say that this film franchise is successful. Both audience and critics really love it, and they're pretty high percentages here. Planet of the Apes is the longest running sci-fi fiction film series and has grossed a total of over $2 billion worldwide. So we can say that this Planet of the Apes franchise is pretty successful. We're at $2 billion right now. Enough of that. We are getting straight into the stickies and the nasties. I just woke up from a freaking nap. Like, my bed's not even freaking made. I usually put it up so that way, the scenery looks nice. But I said, fuck it. Let's just wake up and let's get straight to the video right here. And we're going to start with the critics. Let's read the worst reviews from the critics on this film. Dennis Schwartz. For viewers who can't get enough shots of apes riding horses. Yeah, it wasn't like that the fucking marketing style that they were going for. There was just a bunch of videos going out where they were just like, yeah, we're gonna have apes ride horses in public and we're gonna make people watch this film. I'll be honest, great marketing tactic, but that's fucking creepy, man. But a lack of human interaction could be the downfall of this movie empire. Freya is impressive enough, but she is hampered by a lack of decent dialogue. If it is a Planet of the Apes movie and the planet is being ran over by apes and it's been going on for long periods of time, like I haven't even watched any of these, but I can tell that this has been going on for long periods of time. I'm pretty sure humans, over the course of however long apes rule the world, are not really going to talk that much, especially if you're making a movie about apes ruling the planet. Why would there be that much human dialogue? There is nothing really new or original here. It examines the same time-worn theme its predecessors do, begging the questions, can humans and apes coexist? But with tedious and murky characters and narrative, you have to wonder if anyone really cares. $2 billion later, I think people still care, and audience and critics kind of really do like the movie, at least the majority of them. But I do kind of get this person's point, because it's like, what, the first Planet of the Apes movie came out in the 60s. It's like, how many more Planet of the Apes movies do we get until it's like, yeah, we finally solved the problem. Apes and humans can coexist without humans trapping apes into zoos, and without apes making humans, kind of, understand how they made them feel when humans ruled the world. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes doesn't do justice to its more recent predecessors. I mean, out of all of the Planet of the Apes from 2011 all the way until now, it does have one of the lowest critics and audiences scores. I mean, it's not like terribly low, but I mean, I guess I get the point of like why it's just not as good as the previous ones. I can't really get the point if I haven't watched it, so I need to go watch it to understand. Well, Rachel Wagner was straight to the point. Couldn't wait for it to be over. Wow. You just may not be a fan of that type of movie. Expensive look of the film is plain to behold, but you can't help feeling that it is not much more than a bunch of set pieces and special effects in search of a movie. I will say the fucking special effects that I saw in the trailer, absolutely amazing. The way that you can make these apes look like, super super real. It's like you can almost somewhat believe that you got at least one ape trained right to do what you want him to do on set. But I mean, hey, all the CGI for all the Planet of the Apes films were actually pretty freaking good, and like I said, these critics and audience scores are absolutely high, so they're doing something right. Jeremy Johns, when the last act, the big conflict, the master plan is going down, it was entertaining. But leading up to it was kind of a snooze. So they saved all of the shebang for basically the ending. And if it's that type of movie, how long is this movie? 2 hours and 25 minutes. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty long film right there. So I mean, you're gonna be there for almost 3 hours, a little like 30 minutes under 3 hours. I could see your point that you were pretty bored. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is enough of what the critics had to say about this film. Now, to move on into my favorite part of this entire thing, which is the audience. They do not hold back. Nikki V, if there is a 0 rating, I could have been given it. The pace of the movie is so slow. I already fall asleep right after the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie and thought I should leave early. Save yourself to other movies and please don't swayed by the higher ratings here in Rotten Tomatoes. So this is the second time I've heard that, the pacing of this is super slow, and, you're only going to get all the good action until the end. So it could be a problem. Oscar. Surprisingly boring and dull. So I guess it's just one of the slow pace, movies, man. I just think like out of all these, like what I'm getting is the vibe of it being very slow paced. Kahari, terrible, no character development, little backstory, and introduce new characters that were not interesting at all. Look, like I said, from Rise of the Planet of the Apes that came out in 2011, each time it was like a different person, or like when I say person, I mean human involved in like what the apes were doing on the planet. So, I mean, to me, from the outside looking in, it looks like there's new characters every single movie, but it revolves around Caesar, which is the main, character. Rodney W. Being a fan of the Planet of the Apes, I felt this chapter was way too long. This story could have been told in 90 minutes. It was difficult to stay focused because this movie dragged so much. There's a lot of people talking about this movie was dragging. So, like, I want to watch this movie because, like I said, I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes and I'm looking at the critics and I'm looking at the audience scores. And, it looks like it's, it's a successful franchise. But it's like, why are so many people saying that this is a very dragged movie? Probably because I'm searching for the worst reviews. Duh. GC says, 0 storyline, and I am a big fan of the genre. Psh, man, even a fan is not a fan of this movie. Disappointed with writers. This movie sucked. It was not a continuation from the last movie. It was horrible. Don't waste your time and money. Wait, so now I'm confused. So if it's not a continuation of the last one, were the other three a continuation leading up to War of the Planet of the Apes? That was the movie before Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So like, what time period does this movie take place in? See, like, this is confusing me now. This is why, I should have just fucking watched these movies. Now I'm gonna have to try and watch all these movies and then watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes to fully understand this. But you know that sucks. One more review. Boring and wasting time. Take a pillow to sleep comfortably. Damn, man. Like, I kind of understand if it's 2.5 hours. There's a lot of slow parts that are going to be put into the movie. Now, I will say that Avengers Endgame was 3 hours long. Well, 2 hours and 57 minutes, 58 minutes, whatever. And there were scenes that did kind of drag, but they didn't drag long enough for it to be that boring. But I guess for some movie like this, it has that type of effect where scenes just dragged on too long. That's why it was considered boring. That pretty much wraps it up right there. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Hey, judge it for yourself. Go ahead and watch it. If you think it's good, if you think it's bad, let me know. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you feel in between? I'm gonna go watch it because all the trailers that I have seen from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, and Kingdom, they are interesting, and the special effects and the CGI are absolutely insane. So I definitely do want to watch it, especially with the marketing with the horses and the apes riding the horses. Completely insane. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like on this because it helps out so much. We're about to hit 1 million subscribers. No, we're not. And you could be the lucky one to be my 1 million subscriber one day. So subscribe.